Hi, everyone. You are listening to episode 16 of the Maps and Graps podcast. As always, I'm your host, Lyric Swinton. Thank you to everybody who's been supporting the shows. When I went back and listened to last week's episode, I realized that in like my excitement for a lot of things, maybe it's also because there's been like an insane amount of wrestling happening lately. I forgot a few things that I definitely wanted to mention during the episode. So, there's plenty to talk about, but I do want to hit on these important points just because I do think that it's super important. So let's get into it. And also, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, I decided to make the show more aesthetically pleasing today. So I have lots of images to guide you through. So if you're listening via podcast or want to switch to YouTube, you can go ahead and do that now. Or if you really love me, you can do both. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So, what I wanted to point out is on the night of the Owens Hart tournament finals, as well as the Slammiversary, we had 5 Black major winners in one night, and that is super monumental. And I don't think I got to touch on that last week, so I definitely wanted to mention it. This week we had Kenny King winning the Digital Media Championship over at Impact. We had obviously Leah Rush winning the X Division Championship in a squash match. And last but certainly not least, we had Trinity winning the Knockouts, Impact Knockouts World Championship. Very well deserved. I did talk about that match last week. And also on the AEW side, we saw Willow Nightingale and Ricky Starks win the women's and in men's respective Owens Hart tournament finals. So I I just think this is a very monumental time for Black wrestlers, and I think not even just in. I think a lot of times, like as we started to see like Black wrestlers get um, recognition, it was obviously wrestling was kind of like more of a monopoly. So you had to really wait on one company to really believe in you. But I think like now there's just so many options available, and we're seeing a lot of success for Black wrestlers, and just 5 big tournament championship wins in one night. That's unprecedented. I'm willing to bet my bottom dollar. It's never happened before with major promotions. So super special to see. You'll be hearing from me later um, over the coming months in my writing specifically about the success of Black wrestlers. And so I'm super excited for some of the pieces that are coming out. It's just been really cool to see. And also, he's not on here, but shout out to Michael Oku, who recently became the undisputed British heavyweight champion over at Revolution Pro Wrestling in the UK. This is very, very huge and unprecedented. He's the first Black champion of the largest and most well recognized promotion in the UK wrestling. That's actually really, really huge. And I know like there's also now a Black World Champion over in MLW. I don't really keep up with MLW, so sorry I forgot your name, but I did see a lot of things on Twitter. So always supporting, Black wrestlers getting well due shine, and I'm just really proud of where we are at this moment in the culture, and I look forward to seeing it go further. So another thing that I want to get to this later. Okay, another thing that I missed. I talked about it very, very briefly at the end, but I wanted to go back and really give this match the love that it deserved because it was my favorite match of that mega packed weekend of wrestling. And of course, I'm talking about Katsuhiko Nakajima versus Kento Miyahara. Look, okay? If you haven't seen this match, you need to see it. I don't care if you're not a Noah fan. I don't care if you've never seen All Japan Pro Wrestling ever. This is the perfect time to get started. Um, Absolutely incredible. I mean, Meltzer's hit or miss, but he didn't miss when he gave them 5.25 stars because they deserve it. And I really hope that this is just kind of like an opportunity for Noah, All Japan to get more eyes. I feel like there's been a lot of big opportunities for them between, specifically for Noah, between the Muto retirement matches, retirement shows, being able to bring in Shinsuke, being able to have like, Okada, Sting, Darby. They've also done the All Together Again show, the New Japan versus Noah Wrestle Kingdom show, in addition to did I say all together again? Yeah, all together again. There's just been a lot of like big opportunities for Noah this year, and I feel and All Japan was a part of that all together again too. And so I feel like this just kind of One Night Dream was just a culmination of a lot of that, and I really hope that they ride this wave of momentum because great things are happening here. Kento Miyahara is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and he's so good to the point where I feel sad that I've only recently been introduced to him and his work. Like I feel sad. I feel like I've been robbed for so much of my life. And Katsuhiko Nakajima, listen, a lot of people been like, "Oh yeah, he's not good in long matches." I don't care what you say. This was absolutely incredible, and I think this proved a lot of people wrong. Obviously, I'm a Nakajima fan. I think that he gave Jake Lee one of his best matches for the GHC Heavyweight Championship this year. And obviously, I am an Axis stan. Like him and Go Shiozaki are like my whole heart, and I love them as a team. And really glad that they're back together and excited for what they do next and hoping and praying that they don't fall apart at some point during the N1 victory tournament because that would suck. But this match was absolutely insane. Like these two have a lot of history from All Japan, from Nakajima's days in All Japan, and this match just this match was everything that pro wrestling should be. Um, it was in Korakuen Hall, which is probably my favorite wrestling venue, and I've never been there in person. But the crowd was rocking, everybody was on their feet. Even after a weekend full of wrestling, the fact that this was the cover of Weekly Pro Wrestling instead of like the G1 opener, like that tells you just how big this was. Like, listen, I've said this before about Noah. I'm not 100% sold on the Jake Lee title reign. I understand what they're trying to do yet. It hasn't 100% clicked for me. But if you ever want to strap up Nakajima again, I would be happy with it. But I also want them to win the tag belts too. You can do both. I don't care. Um, Excellent match. And obviously these two will probably face off in the future, which I will always be happy for. Just because Kento Miyahara has not been able to defeat Nakajima yet. And just knowing the type of competitor that he is, he's not going to want to live with those ills forever. Like he's going to want to eventually get a win. And so I'm just super excited that as a pro wrestling fan that we were able to witness this. I've gone back and rewatched this match a couple of times, and 9 times out of 10 after I finish recording this podcast, I'm going to go back and rewatch it again. But absolutely excellent stuff from these two men, and this is what Noah should be. Period. And this is what I want to see going forward. So moving into the other things, Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor just happened on this past Friday. What a show. Obviously, the booking was questionable. The booking was questionable, and by questionable, I mean there was no booking up until like the week of. However, this card did not disappoint. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you go see it. Like this ended up actually being one of my favorite pay-per-views of the year, which I did not expect. But the card flow just flowed so well. Everybody put on their top performances. I mean, even from the pre-show, like shout out to Trisha Dora and Layla Hirsch had a really good match. Also AR Fox and Shane Taylor had a really good match on the pre-show on zero hour. They really set the tone for the show. We got started with Gravity and Commander, and then everything just kind of like shot off from there. The biggest moments from the show are obviously, oh, at least my favorite moments. I'm not going to say biggest, but my favorite moments from the show is obviously that tag team match was absolutely brilliant. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. crowns up United Empire back in the driver's seat. Aussie Open returned as a team. Mark Davis is back from injury, and they won the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships. That was amazing for me. I mean, I've been sounding the alarm of Aussie Open being the best tag team in the world, I feel like, all year. And so this just further cements that. I'm just super happy for them. Like, they really are running the world. Like, obviously, they're signed with AEW now, so we know they're going to be doing stuff there. They're going to be doing stuff in Ring of Honor. And we also know that they're going to be doing stuff still in New Japan. And I'm just really excited for them because the future is really bright for these guys. And they've only really just started to scratch the surface of what they're capable of. And just look, in the past year alone, they have won the New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team Championships twice. They've won the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championships, as well as now the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships. And you know that those AEW championships are in their sights, as well as regaining their IWGP Heavyweight Championships from Bishamon. So super, super excited for these guys and what's next for them. Also, my favorite, Katsuyori Shibata, had an excellent match with Daniel Garcia for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. I am very proud of Daniel Garcia's growth this year, and I think like he's grown as a character, and he's also shown that out of this young generation, he's probably one of the best pound for pound wrestlers out of them all. As you see, I am swinging the wrestler towel because yeah, we're big Shibata's fans over here. Gonna put it around my neck like the wrestler. But loved this match. I also love just seeing like I feel like Shibata has always come off as like the super serious wrestler, and I feel like when he mixes it up over at AEW or Ring of Honor, like he always like obviously he stays true to himself, but he can play the game like with these guys who are like have these big characters, and it's just love to see. Like, I can't believe like somebody like Shibata, who is the wrestler, who is essentially like, if we're talking about just like pure skill, the perfect wrestler, he's still growing as a wrestler and improving and learning in real time in his 40s after like which should have been probably a career-ending injury. So I think that's just been really cool just to watch him continue to grow. That's been awesome. Dark Order versus the Righteous. Listen, that I didn't expect that match to slap as hard as it did. I did not. I mean, obviously, I've been keeping up with the rivalry on Ring of Honor as well as, I'm a fan of the Dark Order. But however, like, this is the Dark Order we need to see from here on out. Like, they left no crumbs. I saw Legos and thumbtacks in the ring. I don't think I've ever seen that. I've never seen like the combo. I was just blown away. Uno's mask was half ripped off. They essentially like crucified Vincent from the Righteous. Everything that the Dark Order should be was epitomized in this match, and that is what I like to see. I'm excited to see, how the Dark Order continues to grow. And also, like, they let Stu have it for leaving him for the Righteous. It's about damn time. And we saw Claudio versus Pac. Pac is my favorite hater. He's so consistent with his hating. Excellent hater. An excellent wrestler. He's just excellent. It's so good to see him back. I'm glad he's back right before All In. He's awesome. Claudio has been absolutely awesome as Ring of Honor World Champion, awesome in the BCC, awesome as a heel. I love this run of his career. I'm so glad that it's happening. And I'm just excited to see him continue to grow. I hopefully, obviously there was a lot going on with injuries as far as Mark Briscoe, and then, you have Eddie Kingston doing the G1. So I am interested to see who steps up as the next challenger. And as they continue to work out, like, what Ring of Honor should look like, I do think that is a place that they have been lacking as far as, like, consistent challengers for Claudio. I feel like I hate to say it. Well, no, I don't hate to say it, but it's weird because, like, this is one of those rare times where it's very clear that the women's world champion is the star of the show over the men's world champion. And so like everybody's always worried about like or thinking about, oh well, what's up next for Athena? To where Claudio kind of takes a back seat to that. That's never really happened before. And so I can't say I hate it. And also Claudio's plenty busy because he's working AEW too. So, hey, it's not the worst thing in the world if, it continues in that vein. But I would like to see, some people get some opportunities to challenge against the world champion, just, to amplify their own careers. But of course, the main trending topic, Athena versus Willow Nightingale. Obviously, if you listen to this show, especially since the beginning, I have been a huge fan of both of these women. I don't hesitate to say that Willow is probably the best babyface in women's wrestling today, and in any company. And she's only getting better. She's only building a bigger connection with the crowd, and the opportunities and the run she's been on this year has been absolutely insane. If you think about it, from Resurgence until Friday, she has competed in the New Japan Strong Women's Championship Tournament, defeats Stardom's Momo Kogo, defeats Mercedes Moné, then goes on to compete in Forbidden Door. She challenges for the AEW World Championship against Toni Storm, and she gets to go to Korakuen Hall for the first ever New Japan Strong show in Japan. She wrestles Julia and Tekla, and then the next day wrestles Julia. And then she wins the Owens Hart Women's Tournament. And then she main events Death Before Dishonor, Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor. We've never seen that from any woman, period. Like, becoming the first woman to main event a pay-per-view for not one, but two major historically male professional wrestling promotions within the span of like 2 months, and doing it as a Black woman. Insane, unprecedented, unmatched. And of course, Athena, I mean, Athena is the best women's champion in the world. And I say in the world. A lot of people have been putting that North America qualifier, and like that's true too, but I'm gonna say in the world, because to be quite honest, like even in Japan, nobody is defending their title on the frequency of her. Like the only person that a lot of people bring up is Tam Nakano, who I absolutely adore, by the way, the World of Stardom champion. But Tam hasn't defended that World of Stardom belt really since she won it. So if we want to talk about like just solid women's champion, I'm sorry, but Athena clears everybody, period. If you look at these defenses, Willow Nightingale times 2, Kiera Hogan times 2, Sky Blue, Miyu Yamashita, Emi Sakura, Yuka Sakazaki, in addition to wrestling every week and making squash matches extremely enjoyable. I'm sorry. Athena clears. And hey, it's still time for people to try to catch up, but she's clearly not stopping. I said all this to say it was the 100% the right call for these two to main event Death Before Dishonor. And God, my God, did they deliver. You can tell what this moment meant to both of them, but especially for Athena. We have watched her journey, her climbing through the indies, going to WWE. Her NXT run was okay, but then basically destroyed all her momentum on the main roster. Really, not only did she like get injured, but her spirit was broken. Her spirit was broken, like questioning should she wrestle and things like that. And then, coming to AEW, just, like a decent, first run. She was doing the babyface thing originally. It didn't really click. But then the infamous Jody threat match happens and everything clicks like that. And I was in the building at Final Battle 2022 in her hometown when she won that championship. And you can tell at that moment she committed to being the absolute best. And I mean, she's delivered on that tenfold. These two have been just the anchors. Their feud has been the anchor of Ring of Honor. I mean, their trilogy, like obviously on the second episode of Honor Club Ring of Honor, these two were the main event of those tapings. And up until, I mean, I still believe, like, based off just the Honor Club TV, that is the best match that's ever happened on Ring of Honor, on Honor Club. And Tony Khan has said that himself numerous times. So it was a no-brainer, I think, for these women to main event. And they showed what women's wrestling is capable of. And I'm just so proud to have witnessed this moment as a wrestling fan, as a fan of women's wrestling, as a woman, as a black woman, and as a fan of just these two, just because they're two of the best in the business right now. This match was a love letter to women's wrestling past. And I think, like, especially so many of our legends never get their names spoken. Never get their name spoken just because, you know, they might not have gone to WWE, or maybe they weren't in TNA, or, you know, the promotions that were on TV. But like, a lot of people know that women's wrestling, you know, was so much bigger than that. And so just seeing them get their flowers, of them doing, you know, the moves of so many of the women, specifically from Women of Honor, the women who paved the way in Ring of Honor, was just absolutely amazing. The spot where Willow kicks out of the O face, I feel like was probably one of the most surprising moments of the entire year for me. Absolutely insane pop that I think my body shot up to my feet. It was absolutely crazy. Wow, just wow. I'm just really glad that we got to witness that moment. And I'm glad that there was a moment, at least so we can get like photographic evidence of Athena, you know, raising Willow's hand at the end. Of course, she whipped her ass afterwards, but you know, at least, you know, hey, we get the moment, and that's what matters. But this match was absolutely incredible. Obviously, a lot of people thought Willow was going to win. I mean, I feel like I wanted Willow to win, but I also didn't care if she didn't, just because Athena's reign has been so good. And I also feel like Willow's gotten so many great opportunities and she's made the most out of them. And I have no doubt that she's going to continue to be a force in women's wrestling, period, not just in Ring of Honor, not just in AEW, not just in New Japan, but just in general. And so I'm not really worried about her trajectory at this point. And also, like, as historic as Athena's reign has been so far, like with the number of defenses she's had, she's recently become the longest reigning Ring of Honor Women's World Champion of all time. To, you know, it's only been now that I think about it, it's only been about 8 months, you know, and so I would like to see her hit a year. You know, I think that they're going to have to be very strategic about continuing to feed her, you know, top opponents. And like, I do think that now that Willow and her have had a trilogy, it's going to be very interesting to see, like, who is the person to defeat Athena. But I think this is going to be an opportunity for, you know, TK to really step up and continue to feed her the best in the world. And I will say, like, when it comes to her title defenses, Tony Khan has not missed when it comes to giving Athena top level opponents, of just really going to find, you know, the best of the best of the best. And so I'm excited to see what's next for both of these women. This was a historic occasion that I'm never going to forget. There's been 3 moments where I really sat there as a professional wrestling fan and as a black girl and was just like, wow, like, I can't believe this is happening. And one was obviously Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks at WrestleMania. The second was Mercedes versus Willow earlier this year at New Japan Resurgence. And the third was this moment, which is Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor, Athena versus Willow. So absolutely incredible stuff. I'm just glad to be a witness. Moving on to Stardom. Stardom. Whoo! There has been a lot going on with the 5-star Grand Prix. There's been a lot going on. The 5-star Grand Prix kicked off this past weekend. And listen, the matches did not disappoint. If you say that you love women's wrestling, you want great women's wrestling, and you support women's wrestling, you need to be watching Stardom and you need to be watching the 5-star Grand Prix, because these women absolutely stepped up to the plate. That run from Tommy versus Mina up until Julia versus Sari was impeccable, damn near perfect. Absolutely excellent stuff. And so make sure you keep up with it. Also, if you follow me on Twitter, you know that I'm a part of Women's Wrestling Talk. We now have a new show called Rising Sun Rundown that will air every single Thursday at 5 p.m. EST on the Women's Wrestling Talk Twitch as well as YouTube. Stay posted. We're going to be keeping up with the 5-star Grand Prix, the G1 Climax, also the TJPW's Tokyo Princess Cup. So this is going to be, if you need like a weekly show specifically to keep up with what's going on over in Japan and the majors, we got you. But like I was saying, there are some excellent matches here. I also wrote an article about it 9 times out of 10. By the time you hear this episode, it will already be released. And I talked about the best matches. And so the best matches of the night for me specifically, of course, Yatami Hayashishita versus Mina Shirakawa. These two have been talking a lot of crap about each other on Twitter, and this match definitely lived up to all the hype. Obviously, the old Yatami is back. She came back from her American excursion, back better than ever. And she brought back the long hair. The Red Queen is back. She's ready to play. She won this match. She had a new finisher that she debuted that she actually got from Shayna Baszler during her time away. And so that was really cool. But I also want to give a shout out to Mina, because Mina has been absolutely excellent since she returned from injury. She went from being one of those pretty girls who was most improved to truly one of the MVPs of Stardom. So I want to give her flowers, because she's been absolutely incredible lately. Momo Watanabe versus Mirai. Listen, the old Momo is back and she's ready to play, and she wants to remind y'all that she's that girl. And so she defeated Mirai, so maybe that's going to put her back in contention for the Wonder of Stardom Championship, even if she doesn't end up winning the 5-star Grand Prix. It's about damn time. It's been, I think on Twitter they were talking about, it's been 4 years since her last singles championship in Stardom, which is way too long. Honestly, if this was up to me, Momo would be the next red belt champion if it was up to me. But it's not up to me. So Rossi, please do it. But next we have who I want to talk about next? Oh, Suzu Suzuki versus Suri. Now, this was the match that I was anticipating most on the card. Just because anybody who knows me knows that I like my women's wrestling, just like basically almost all of my wrestling. My favorite style is stiff. I like stiff, hard strikes. I like aggressive. Like, that's how I like my wrestling. And these two epitomize all of those things. So Suri, on any given day, just based off skill, is probably the best women's wrestler in the world. Just based off just pure skill and striking. And I think it comes from the fact that she has a genuine, authentic MMA background, and she's pretty damn good at it. Suzu Suzuki is probably the greatest women's wrestling prodigy in the game right now. Who the only other people that I can even say that are possibly in that conversation with her is probably Azumi. And then on the North American side, maybe Roxanne Perez. If we want to talk about pure ability. But Suzu, the thing that she has on everybody is that she's completely unpredictable. She goes by the crazy girl. She's the deathmatch queen, and she's just insane. And Suri is also insane. And so these two together were absolute insanity. And I loved every single second of it. We need more. I feel like we just need more. because wow, they did not disappoint in this match at all. And I just, I not only critique is that I wanted more of it. A 15-minute time limit wasn't enough. I think what that match went, 11, 13 minutes, something like that. That wasn't enough. Like, I want to see them in an Iron Woman 2 out of 3 falls match. Like, I want to see them go absolutely crazy. Like, anything goes, because they have excellent chemistry. I mean, Suzu honestly reminds me a lot of Suri, so I think that's also what's scary, but also really cool, because Suri is like, and I think what, her mid 30s, and Suzu's only 20 years old, and the fact that Suzu didn't just keep up, like, she essentially in this match kind of established herself as an equal. And I mean, like, that's hard to do. There are women who are Suri's age who can't establish themselves as an equal. And so I mean, that just shows the talent in Stardom, and just the talent that Suri brings to that Suzu brings to the table. And so I'm just super excited for her career. So hopefully that they continue to wrestle in the future. But obviously Suri picked up the win here. Next, there was Mayu Iwatani versus Suzuki. I'm a huge Suzuki believer, huge Suzuki enjoyer. I believe that she is one of the best in the world today. And I just love her spirit. She fights with her whole heart. Like, it's hard to explain if you haven't seen her before, but it's just like, I can see why they call her the Wild Heart, because she wrestles like, if she doesn't win, she's going to die. Like, she wrestles like she's fighting for her life. She's so good. She's so aggressive. She's so passionate, and I just want to see her win. And obviously Mayu picked up the win here in a very good match, because I think this is also Mayu's first singles match since defeating Mercedes at All Star Grand Queendom on April 23rd. And obviously, Hazuki and Mayu are teammates, and they are both a member of the Stars faction, with Mayu being the leader. And Hazuki has said, like, hey, if I win this match, then I'm going to challenge you for the IWGP Women's Championship. Obviously, she didn't win here, but I mean, we got to get some gold on Suzuki, on Hazuki. I don't know a better way to put it, but it's time to strap her up. If it was up to me, like I said, with Momo being the next red belt champion, I would want Hazuki to be the next white belt champion. Obviously, the white belt is known as the belt of emotion, and nobody brings emotion better than Hazuki. So that's my goals for them. But like I said, one of the best matches. These are two of obviously the best workers in Stardom. So it's no surprise that they cooked. But woo, man, oh man, the big kicker. So we knew Julia versus Sari Anu was going to be great. We knew it was going to be good. But like, just because this is the first time matchup, but these two are just so talented, and just like, they've been killing it this year. Like, and obviously Sari's new to Stardom, but she has history with a lot of folks, including like Naspoy, and she's just been absolutely dazzling. And I keep using the word dazzle to describe her, because it's almost like she's like a murder ballerina. Everything she does is so graceful, but she's so aggressive and mean. A lot like Naspoy. Maybe that's why they like be having like they beef sometimes, because they're very similar in that way. But this match, oh my God, listen, Julia, she's a big match wrestler. Like, she is a big match wrestler. Like, even if she's not in the main event, she conducts herself like she's going to be in the main event. She knows how to get the crowd hyped. She knows how to get people into it. This is why I just know that when she gets to America, all bets are off. Like, seriously, she could be the biggest women's wrestling star in the world if I feel like certain cards are played correctly. She just has this mesmerizing quality about her when she wrestles, and like, these two just absolutely went at it. Sari's face was bloodied. If you're watching on YouTube, you see this picture of that pile driver through the table. Like, oh my God, I screamed. in the middle of the night. I literally screamed because I was like, oh my gosh, like this is night one. This isn't even the finals or anything like that. Like this is they just hooping like that on any given Sunday. Just absolutely insanity. Obviously just about all the matches were good. The first ones were like really pretty short. So like I think Micah won one and who won the other one? I forgot who won the other one. But these are the matches I would say from Mariah May won against Azumi. But that one was fairly short. But if you wanted to see like the best matches of the tournament, so far, I think these are the ones. So that's Utami versus Mina, Momo versus Mirai, Mayu versus Suzuki, Suzu versus Suri, and Julia versus Saori. There was one more match that was going pretty great until it ended, and that's Tam Nakano versus Saya Kamatani, which was the main event. There was a lot of anticipation for this because Saya had, made her intentions clear that she wanted to challenge for the red belt after her monumental run as, the Wonder of Stardom champion. The match was going really well, but sadly, Saya got injured during the match, and she dislocated her elbow. So she's going to be out of the 5-star Grand Prix. And so, wishing Saya Kamatani a speedy recovery. The Phoenix always rises from the ashes, and so I'm wishing her the absolute best. And like, hey, listen, if I'm Rossi, that is my 2024 5-star Grand Prix winner already. The story is there. Redemption season. Let's go, Saya. Wishing her the absolute best. But after that occurred, some very interesting business happened once Tam got back in the ring and was bidding the crowd adieu. And then, because there was an interruption by a new foreigner in Stardom by the name of Megan Bayne. So I wasn't very familiar with Megan Bayne. I said, who is Megan Bayne on Twitter? And a lot of people responded telling me who she is. Apparently she's been on Dark and she's been really great on the indies. She has like a Greek goddess type gimmick. And so she just basically laid Tam out right there. And also she was accompanied by Utami Hayashishita, who was basically like, when I was in America, she followed me here. You know, she didn't 100% say they were aligned, but she didn't 100% say they weren't aligned. So, like I said, Megan laid Tam out, and Utami challenged Mayu to come out, and she did, and she challenged her for the IWGP Women's Championship. So, later at the press conferences that happened a few days later, it has been confirmed that Tam Nakano will face Megan Bayne in Megan's debut for the World of Stardom Championship at the Stardom X Stardom show on August 13th. And at the same show, Mayu Iwatani will defend her IWGP belt for the first time against Utami Hayashishita. Listen, a lot of people are, felt some type of way about Megan debuting and immediately getting a world title shot. But you know what? Hey, shoot your shot, sis. Like, foreigners haven't been able to really be in Stardom for quite a minute, without completely just being residential there. So it's like, I'm here for it. And also like, let's not do double standards, because at the same time, these are the same people who were absolutely rejoicing when Yota Tsuji came out of nowhere and challenged Sanada and immediately shot to the main event of Wrestling Dontaku, and got an IWGP Heavyweight Championship shot. So if the men's championship can do it, the women's championship can do it. The world champion of Stardom can do it as well. Obviously, she's probably not going to win, but hey, it's a great showing. Obviously, a lot of people will be watching the show, and a lot of people want to see what she can do, including me, because I would love to see what she is capable of. So let's do it. And also, Utami's made it very clear that she wants to be a worldwide star, and so I know she's going to be coming for Mayu hard. And honestly, I don't see Utami losing. Maybe but also at the same time, Mayu has never had a successful defense, and so I'm unsure like if this is either like Rossi just wanting to continue like Mayu's icon status just to say that she, won every belt in Stardom. Maybe he doesn't really care about the reign, or maybe this put a chip on your Tommy's shoulder. Who knows? But I'm excited to find out, and I'm also excited to find out like what are they going to do with this belt as far as making sure it's actually regularly defended, because apparently this was originally supposed to be a belt that's defended on New Japan shows, and is possibly defended in America, but now there's that New Japan Strong Women's Championship. And also rumors of Julia coming to defend that belt specifically in the U.S. At All Star Junior Festival, although it hasn't been confirmed, even though Julia has gotten a challenge for the New Japan Strong belt for a Stardom show, and she'll be defending against you, who, when I say you, I mean you. Why you? She also regularly teams up with Shihiro Hashimoto, and so with Julia defending the New Japan Strong belt in Japan against Japanese talent, I'll be honest, I don't really know what's going on here with these two belts. But you know what? Hey, I'm just rolling with it. And as long as somebody is defending some belt in the US against some of the American talent here, just so like everybody gets a chance at these belts and gets a chance at, being a part of this New Japan women's division that's being built across both Japan and America, I don't really care. So, hey, we'll keep the main thing the main thing. Amen. Amen. Moving on, blood and guts. I'm not going to talk about this too long, but I just needed to talk about blood and guts briefly. Listen, I am a stan of both of these teams. I love, 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 love the Elite, and I love, 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 love the Blackpool Combat Club. So I'm gonna be honest. I just want to say how sad I am that this feud has come to an end. From Mox versus Hangman, from the moment that like that match was announced, like the original match where Hangman got knocked out, from that up until Blood and Guts has been the most excellent journey. Like I have enjoyed every single thing that these guys have done. I'm probably like, during the holidays, I've been thinking of like, just doing some like non-live content. And when I say like non-live content, I mean like episodes strictly about like feuds and stories that have happened that might not be happening in real time on wrestling. And that one definitely came to mind. Like I think I really want to like go back and like rewatch all the matches and the big segments from the BCC Elite feud, because and talk about it on here, because it's been absolutely excellent. And I mean, this was the pinnacle of in-ring storytelling. I think about the stories that they've been able to tell consistently. Like the BCC has just also been killing it like this year, just doing amazing things in New Japan too. So like I want to give hats off to them as well. Just how Kenny has been killing it in New Japan this year. It's just like these things have just interwoven through like different companies and storylines. Like it was so multi-layered, and I know for some people it was chaotic, but for me it was absolutely perfect. I think as a fan of the Elite and Blackpool Combat Club and AEW and New Japan, and just knowing like all their history, like, and I'm one of those people who like really loves like all of like the little things, and I feel like they did all those so well. And like faithfully watching BTE and like all these like backstage promos, and I loved it. And like bringing all these different people into it. You have Eddie Kingston, you have the Dark Order, you have Will Ospreay, like Don Callis, Takeshita. Absolutely excellent. Pac, and of course Kota Ibushi. I'm going to get to that in a second, but I loved every single part of this, and I loved Blood and Guts. And was it chaotic? Absolutely. But like, what do people expect? Like, what do you expect from a giant cage with 2 rings and 10 crazy people and insane amount of weapons? I don't know. But I loved it. And I'm just really happy that this happened. I'm really happy that have been a fan when this happened. I am happy that I was able to be in the room for some of this stuff, like being at Forbidden Door, to say like I actually witnessed some of this, like with my naked eye, and then see a lot of it on TV, and I'm just really happy that this happened. And I'm gonna miss this feud, but I know that they've done a really great job of setting everybody up to for what's next for them throughout this feud, which I think is really great and it was masterful. And I think like a lot of people won't appreciate that until much later, which like hey, which happens all the time. Pro wrestling is subjective. But of course, my favorite part, the Golden Lovers. I stand them. I love them. I love Kenny and I love Coda separately, but I love them even better together. And this was just super beautiful. And I just love Kenny Omega. And I say that because that man is gutsy. Like he's gutsy, he's brave, he does so many things that nobody in their right mind in wrestling would ever probably dare to do, because they're either worried about what people say, or they're worried about getting hurt, or they're worried about just so many different things. And like his determination to live his life his way and live his career his way is so inspiring to me. And like truly, like that's why like I instantly connected with him as soon as I watched any of his stuff, because like Kenny's also one of those people, he wrestles with his whole heart. It's like Kenny Omega is the Andrea Bocelli of professional wrestling. And I mean that in the sense of like, if you ever heard Andrea Bocelli, like he's the blind man with this beautiful voice and sings opera. And like when he sings, like people cry. And it's just like, that's how I feel watching Kenny Omega. Like he makes things, stories, matches, just anything that you can feel, like that you can feel. And I feel like the Golden Lovers is one of those things in the elite period, of just the bond, the connection with each of these people is those things. Like you saw that in the match. Like you have the Bucks who always have his back, and then you have Last Call making a return, him and Hangman doing the moves together and like getting back on one accord. And um, obviously Coda coming to save the day and whoop everybody ass to touch him like he should, and then get in Mox's face afterwards and say, don't do that shit again. Love that. I love that. But yeah, like you just have all those moments. And I think like Kenny is he's so talented. And obviously that was a part of the storytelling of like this whole feud too, is because Bryan Danielson kept saying like, "Oh, like Kenny, you're so talented, but you stick with these schmucks." And it's just like everybody's like, "Kenny, you should be a singles wrestler. You should be a singles wrestler." But especially him in this babyface era, he is just like, "Yeah, I'm going to do these singles matches, but one, I'm going to do them my way, and two, I'm not going to neglect my friends and the people I care about and the people I love in the process of being the best about machine, of being like, the best wrestler in the world." And it's just like all these underlying things. And then obviously just the Golden Lovers of just, when was the last time you've seen a story really play out over 10 years and decades and, 10 plus over 10 years? Something so beautiful. And I think like they just, both of them have been through a lot, and they've changed in so many ways, but like one thing that will always be the same is like their love and devotion for each other, and like just looking out for each other, and also empowering each other to do the crazy shit that they do in the ring, because what was that bed of nails? But yeah, it's just beautiful seeing the Golden Lovers together. Obviously, like I know that I hope that Ibushi comes back and like in the AEW ring, which I feel like he will. And I know he's only going to continue to get better and better, because that's who Kota Ibushi is. He is the Golden Star. And I just love how both of these two are probably hands down two of the best wrestlers like ever. And they always come back, find their way back to each other as a team and better together. And I think that's absolutely just beautiful and incredible. And I just love them. And I love professional wrestling, and I love the elite, and I love the Blackpool Combat Club, and I love the Golden Lovers, and I love all these guys. And this was just so special to me. And I I just think that you can tell something is really special when you can tell that wrestlers are having fun. I know Sports Illustrated just dropped an article about like inside of Blood and Guts, and they say how like all the guys got emotional coming back through the curtain because they really enjoy working with each other, and like how all of them signed Matt Jackson's sneaker, and it was just like it's stuff like that. Like I feel like I have the most fun when I know that the talent involved are having so much fun and like they enjoy working with each other, and like even the BTE afterwards of them like, oh, why are we doing so many hardcore matches lately, and Kenny picking the thumbtacks out of Ibushi's bag, like incredible, incredible. I love this feud. I'll probably go back and, like I said, talk about it later this year in depth. But I just wanted to give the Blood and Guts its flowers. So, for those of you who are really familiar with this podcast, we're going to talk about the G1, but I'm going to be honest. If you really want my almost night by night breakdowns, go check out the content that I've been putting out over at SNME Radio, Sunday night's main event. Shout out to all of them, a subsidy of TSN Radio up in Canada. But I did want to share my favorite matches of the tournament so far. And I split them up by block. I have 4 for the first 3 blocks, and I have 0 for block D, because I will say all of the block D matches have ranged from to good. But I can't say I've really seen one that's great. And if there is one that's great, I probably should have put it up here. But that will probably be the most recent match, which was Zack Sabre Jr. versus Jeff Cobb. But they always have great chemistry. Like they've been having amazing matches all year long, so that doesn't surprise me. And like even that match, like I said, it was like, I don't want to say it was great, but it was really good. So there's that. But these are the matches that are great. And I'm going to start with A block. Are they in order of when they happen? No, because I'm currently recording this at 1:30 a.m. and I'm tired. But the best black matches so far from A block are Sonata versus Kaito Kiyomiya, Shota Umino versus Kaito Kiyomiya, Shota Umino versus Ren Narita, and Shota Umino versus Gabe Kidd. Do you see a pattern here of who really is amazing here? And listen, I've always been a Shota Umino fan, but I'm now a Shota Umino believer. He's ready for the ball. Like he's been absolutely excellent. He's been struggling at this tournament to get some big wins. He recently like finally picked one up. And obviously I'm a huge Kaito Kiyomiya fan because I'm a Noah fan and I was already rooting for him. But wow, he has put on clinics in this and he just looks amazing. Like he looks absolutely amazing. I mean, compared to like some of the other people on their roster who are doing great, by the way, he's just a cut above. You can tell like he just turned 27 last week. But you can tell, like, this is a 2-time world champion. He's the real deal, and he has no intentions of letting up, and he's only going to get better. And so I've just been really, really pleased with Kaito. That match with Sonata was nuts. But just because, obviously, I called it the Kaiji Muto on a pole match because, obviously, these two were both mentored by Muto. And, obviously, these are the two. Actually, those are the only 2 in the block who have been world champions before. And so this one was a really big test. Obviously, Sonata got the win. It was 19 minutes and 58 seconds. Sonata pulls off a Shining Wizard right before it goes to a draw and is able to pin Kaito. It was an absolute thriller, and that's exactly what it was. And also, I'll say Shota versus Kaito was very, very good. It was a time limit draw. Shota versus Ren was also a time limit draw. Like you see, a lot of these young guys have not gotten definitive victories over each other. Some have, but a lot of these have. Most of the draws have come from the Kaito, Shota, Ren, Yoda Tsuji gang. And then obviously Shota versus Gabriel Kidd. Listen, Gabe Kidd has come into this tournament to be a disruptor. Everybody's been talking about the 3 Musketeers, but he wants to make it known that, like, hey, he He graduated from the LA dojo, so this is his birthright just as much as it is anybody else's, and he's not asking for permission. He is a war dog, my dog for real. Listen, that song slaps. I had to get it on Apple Music because it's so good. Be my dog for real. Be my dog for real. Like, I don't know. They ate with that one. I don't know what else to tell you. But moving on to Block B, the best matches are that I've seen so far from Block B are Kazuchika Okada versus Yoshihashi. Listen, Yoshihashi's been hooping. Yoshihashi has been hooping. Yoshihashi has been hooping. I had to say it 3 times because that's just how good he's been. He hasn't had a bad match yet in this tournament, and obviously neither has Okada. And so, absolutely incredible stuff here. Yoshihashi made you believe. Like, he made you believe that he was going to get it done. And that's hard to do versus Okada. And another match that was a much like that was Okada versus Taichi. Listen, I've been screaming from the rooftops about the goodness of Taichi and all that he's done this year. I think he's been absolutely magnificent. He's been killing it as a faction leader over at just Five Guys. Recently winning the KOPW Provisional Championship from Shingo. Taichi's been on it. And listen, he's been putting on some great matches, and I feel like even if the match itself isn't that great, it gives great moments. Like, for example, he did that super short match with Kenta, and Kenta joins in on his entrance and like plays guitar on his belt while Taichi sings, and halfway through the match, which was very short, like I think it was like less than 3 minutes, the actual match, but he rips off Kenta's pants. No, he rips off Taichi's pants. And, obviously Taichi likes to do that part himself, but just very entertaining stuff. And like I said, Okada's just been incredible. There's one match, because I was only trying to do 4 for each, but there is one match that was super great, and I think that was Yoshihashi versus Will Ospreay. And I just want to say that match had the best Canadian destroyer that I've ever seen. I think I might have said that in the last episode, but that was the best Canadian destroyer that I've ever seen. Another great match was Will Ospreay versus Kenta. This match woke the old Kenta up. It woke the old Kenta up. Everybody who's been talking about we want the old Kenta, we don't want the shenanigans. This match was exactly that, and it was great. I highly recommend going and watching it. Will Ospreay has been one of the most consistent parts of this tournament, and he continues to be one of the most consistent parts of this tournament. By the time this airs, this will be I've already recorded by the time that the match takes place, but in about a couple hours, Okada versus Will Ospreay is going to main event night 9 of the G1 Climax, and whew, I just already know that's going to be a lot, and I'll probably be talking about it next week, and I'll definitely be talking about it over on SNME Radio for those of you who want to just check out like just specific G1 coverage, but with a match between Will Ospreay and Kenta, and also Will Ospreay versus Taichi. I was super excited for that match because they had a great match earlier this year. They didn't disappoint in this rematch. It was really good. Highly recommend watching that. But my favorite matches in this tournament have definitely come from C Block Murderers Row. And so you will see a recurring faces here. Tomohiro Ishii versus Eddie Kingston, classic. Tomohiro Ishii versus Shingo Takagi, slap. Shingo Takagi versus Eddie Kingston, slap. And Shingo Takagi versus Hanare, 2, slap. Listen, like anything with Shingo or Ishii or Eddie is at least has just a minimum floor of good. And most things can probably get to great. Like, I feel like Eddie got robbed a little bit because he had to wrestle Evil. And, I'm so sorry, Eddie. Like, I will say, I try not to be a wrestler hater, but Evil and House of Torture, I'm your biggest hater. I want you to know that. So, these matches are absolutely incredible. You want hard-hitting affairs? You want stiff? These guys invented stiff. Eddie Kingston Eddie Kingston in Japan, man, is just a different breed. It's just like, especially like in the Ishii match, like you can see like his body was beat up, but it's just almost like he calls Cork and Hall holy ground, and you can just see like the energy like he just got just from simply being there. It was special, and obviously him and Ishii have had an incredible series. An incredible series. They wrestled at Capital Collision. They had their another match. Was that the All Out 0 Hour, or was that the double? No, yeah, that was no Forbidden Doors. No, I'm wrong. That was All Out 0 Hour, I believe. Yeah, because Full Gear 0 Hour, he wrestled Jun Akiyama. So he has just been killed. They've had a great trilogy, and so this was obviously the third match of their series. Who this one didn't disappoint, and it might be my favorite out of them, which says a lot because the first two were really great. Ishii versus Shingo Takagi literally saved that night for the G1 Climax that they were on, because every other match was basically terrible. Like, no cap, like it was not good at all. And but this match alone was worth the price of admission. Shingo and Eddie King killed it on night two. I think I talked a little bit about that last week. This is a first time matchup, and both of them walked away from that experience like asking Tony Khan, please book this match. And yes, Tony Khan, please book this match. I need to see it. It was absolutely incredible. And obviously Shingo versus Hanari was excellent. Like, these two had obviously great chemistry. They wrestled earlier this year for the King of Pro Wrestling Provisional Championship during WrestleMania weekend. They had an Ultimate Triad match, the first ever Ultimate Triad match, and it didn't disappoint. I think Observer rated it 5.5 stars, and which was well deserved. One of the best singles matches this year, and this one was really awesome. Obviously, it couldn't go as long because of the time limit, but this one was absolutely incredible. They hit so hard, and they just don't care. Like, I will say, like, when they wrestle each other, they be like, concussions be damned. Will I be able to walk tomorrow? Be damned. I'm not saying that that's a good thing, but damn, these matches are great. So, hey, D Block, step it up. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, but shout out to Zack Sabre Jr. and Jeff Cobb being, like, I would say the highest points of D Block. And it's not like that D Block has been bad. I think D Block has had a lot of entertaining matches. Like, for example, Shane Haste versus Naito was pretty entertaining. Like, I actually enjoyed it. Like, they kind of match each other's shenanigans. But, like, if we want to talk about a year from now, if I want to go back and rewatch G1 matches, I don't think any of those matches stand out as matches I would go back and rewatch. And that would have, like, that replay value a year from now. So that's how I feel on it. But shout out to Zack Sabre Jr. and Jeff Cobb for being probably the most consistent performers of the tournament. So the current point breakdowns are: if the G1 ended right now, from A Block, Sonata and Kaito Kiyomiya would go move on to the playoffs in that order. From B Block, Kazuchika Okada and Will Ospreay would advance in that order. C Block currently has a 3-way tie for first, with Tama Tonga, David Finlay, and Evil all having 6 points. Eddie Kingston is at 4, and Shingo Takagi are both tied at 4. And then for D Block, we have Jeff Cobb and Zack Sabre Jr. So Jeff Cobb has 8 and Zack Sabre Jr. has 6. So there's a lot. Well, we have about half left to go. But there's a lot moving. There's a couple people who probably have no chance of winning at this point. So Ren Narita only has 2 points. Hikuleo only has 2 points. Tangaloa and El Phantasmo and Greater Okan and B Block only have 2 points. And C Block, Mikey Nichols and Hanare, as well as Tomohiro Ishii, only have 2 points each. And in D Block, Toriano has 0 points and Alex Coughlin only has 2. So interesting stuff. Like we see some very interesting stuff. Like I said, we got about halfway to go, but there is still, a lot going on. That's all, guys. That's just a rundown of all the wrestling that I personally loved and just wanted to gush about tonight. But I hope that all of you continue to stay up to date with the G1, or, continue to listen to this podcast. And like, read my stuff. If you want to stay up to date and you don't want to wake up at 5:30 a.m. For the G1, that's fine too. And also stay up to date with the 5-star Grand Prix as well. Like that's happening and it's really good. Like I said, if you say that you love women's wrestling and you want to see more women's wrestling, this is what you need to be watching, period, because Stardom has the best women's wrestling in the world. And so check it out. I highly recommend it. And also, I will probably start talking about the N1 Victory Tournament next week, because we are, I believe, 9 days away from the N1 Victory Tournament with Pro Wrestling Noah. There's a lot of fun storylines coming into there, obviously. There's some favorites to win. Kino is having a fabulous year with Kaito Kiyomiya being in the G1 Climax. A lot of opportunities are open. There's going to be some cool stuff. I'm really excited to really kind of get into it. I will say there are some people in the N1 tournament that I'm not particularly familiar with. So excited to do some research over the next couple weeks and get to know some of these people. And obviously, there's a Nakajima Shiozaki match, which means that axes must fight each other. And so please respect my privacy during that difficult time. But I think it's going to be great. They've been joking about it. So hopefully this doesn't completely kill, the group, because I feel like we're having so much fun and we've only just started. So yeah, hopefully, Nakajima doesn't ruin it all this time. I would love that if he didn't. But yeah, that's probably what we're going to be talking about over the next week or so. Just getting ready for the N1 and obviously continuing to keep up with the G1. So much fun wrestling happening. Obviously, we're on the road to All In. I am super excited. I'm excited to see what kind of content I'm going to be able to get out. Just because, if you didn't already know, I will be in London for All In weekend. Currently, I will be going to the Rev Pro show at Copper Box, as well as All In at Wembley. So, if you are a UK listener, make sure you come say hi at either of those shows. I would love to talk to you and love to just gush about the greatness of pro wrestling with you. But until next time, make sure that you follow me at Lyric Wrestling on Twitter and that you subscribe to Lyric Swinton on YouTube to find this podcast, and make sure that you find this podcast on every platform that you found podcasts. But I will talk to you all later. Goodbye and good night.